In case you guys can't tell, this is the all-new Porsche 911, the 992, and in true 911 fashion, it does kind of look similar to the model it replaces, but also in true 911 fashion, there are distinctive changes here and there that make it a truly unique model from the car that came before it, the 991. So let's go around and take a look at what design changes have been made to this. So for starters, the first change you can see at the front is around the headlamp cluster, which is now surrounded by a single panel, and this gives it a really nice, clean, distinctive finish. And other than that, I can't really tell any other distinctive changes that they've made to this. But what I can say is from the front it does look a lot wider. But a lot of the changes to the design also made at the rear. So let's go have a look. Cool. First thing you'll notice at the rear is the complete tail lamp. It stretches across the rear of the car. The exhaust tailpiece is also quite aggressive, but if you take a deep look inside you'll see that there's actually two extensions, so it's not 100% real. The badging is also slightly different. It now has the retro 911 across the rear with Carrera S, and overall it's just a much more of a muscular design thanks to the widened flanks. I would really like to show you the flat six that sits here, but unfortunately Porsche won't let me. What you can see are the intake fans and the oil and water entry points. I don't know why they hid the engine, but what does sit underneath this plastic cover is a 3-litre twin-turbo flat-six engine that delivers 331 kilowatts and 530 Newton meters to the rear wheels with help of an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Inside the cabin, it is traditional 911, very driver-focused. Everything is upright and facing you. Driving position is very focused. Seats are very snug, and I think it's a very clean design. I think it's a very attractive design. The leather finishes in the cabin are really plush. So the first time I got behind the wheel of a 911, I said what I think many people say, you know, what's the big deal? Can it really be that good? It's a glorified Beetle. But then I drove one in the shape of the 991 GTS that we had on Shootout 2 years ago. And then I realized, okay, you know what? This is probably the ultimate sports car. And I couldn't understand how they were able to take all of these parts, put them together and make a sports car that just really becomes one with the driver. And it's such a cliche, I know, but there's something about a 911, the way it drives, the way it works with you, the way it achieves phenomenal amounts of grip through the corners, the way that flat six sounds, the way it delivers powers, the amount of responsiveness you get from it. Everything that you want from a sports car is everything that a 911 gives you. And with this, the 992, it's no different. Sure, it's 20 kgs heavier, and a lot of people were very shouty about that. And after speaking to one of Porsche's execs, Detlef van Platten, he said that every time they make a change to the 911 fan base is not happy. But then he says they go and drive the car with the changes that they made, they come back to him and they say, you know what, you guys were right. Porsche have proved to us by now that they know how to make the 911 and they know exactly what their customers will appreciate. The 992, we've got that twin turbocharged flat six engine that's delivering 331 kilowatts, 530 Newton meters. And those power figures, they don't, you know, in today's sports car world, they don't sound that amazing, but the way that they get delivered to the wheels in this car is just completely impressive. It's so efficient, it's so thrilling, and it just sounds amazing. The way the engine delivers its power to the chassis is very impressive, and someone who's a big Porsche fan is Jerry Seinfeld. We all know that. And a couple of years ago in an interview, someone asked him why does he like the brand so much, and his answer made a lot of sense. He said, from an engineering point of view, the way Porsche does their sports cars with the rear engine, rear wheel drive layout makes a lot of sense, because the source of the power and the point where the power gets delivered is so close to one another that there's no mechanical loss as the power travels through the parts, because everything is direct. With a conventional layout, such as a front engine rear wheel drive car, all that power has to get sent down through a transmission, through a driveline to the rear wheels. and that is time lost. That is a counterweight on the amount of efficiency that you can provide to the wheels, and Porsche does away with that in this layout, and that's why they've never changed it, and that is why they are unlikely to change that. If you had to ask me whether I'd go for the Carrera S or the Carrera 4S, I would probably say take the Carrera S, because the amount of grip you get from this car, you don't really need all four wheels to do the driving, especially here in South Africa. If you were staying in a European country where you had to deal with snow or really serious weather conditions, then I'd say get the all-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive isn't faster on acceleration, but with the chrono package it can do 0 to 100 in 3.5 seconds, and that is enough. You don't need to go faster than that. If you want an extra 0.1 seconds, then get the 4S. And I mean, just look at it. The design of this car is amazing. It's quite similar to the last one, but the touches here and there really define it a little bit more. For example, one that stands out for me is the front panel that houses the headlamp. The way it's just one line now makes it look a lot cleaner. And if you put this next to an original 912, I think you'll appreciate the evolution of the design and how it's really stayed true to its DNA. And I understand a lot of people are going to assume that I'm just being a Porsche fanboy. Before I drove a 911, I really wasn't. And in fact, I don't really consider myself a 911 fanboy, because if it was my own money, I probably wouldn't buy a 911, but that's just because personal preference. I think this car is fantastic. I think it fits a sports car driver's needs. Everyone I've spoken to who owns a 911 has never, ever criticized the car in any way, shape or form. They love everything about it. The 992 is yet another generation of the 911 that fails to disappoint. It balances power with traction extremely well, and it makes for a thrilling driving experience. I think the two-wheel drive version is a personal favorite of mine, and with 331 kilowatts provides more than enough thrills. But if you're someone who needs a bit more assistance behind the wheel and wants a little bit more speed, then the 4S would be best suited for you.